Talk Money to Me is a financial podcast produced by TransGlobal. All opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of TransGlobal. This podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon as basis for investment decisions.
Hey everybody, welcome to Talk Money to Me, where we talk about money and how it affects you. I'm your co-host, Jonathan, and I know a little bit about finance.
And I'm your other co-host, Tracy, and I know almost nothing about finance.
We have two wonderful guests with us today. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Franklin. I'm a certified financial planner, and I'm too honest for my own good.
Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and I'm a financial advisor.
We are going to be talking about a little bit regarding taxes today, specifically about W-2s and 1099s. These are probably the most...
And how to evade taxes, right?
Legally.
Everything
that we talk about today is about taxes. I'm not a CPA, so if you have any questions or if you want to confirm anything, please talk to your CPA.
Many of you listeners out there are familiar with these two options when it comes to getting payment for the work that you do. And so we wanted to kind of explore a little bit of their history as well as answer some of the common questions you might have. So to start off, which one came first?
I think W-2 came first. And originally it was known as the wage and tax statement that has to be provided by the employer for the employees. It's just making it easier for the IRS to collect tax revenue. And then later on, 1099 came. And 1099, a lot of people associate with self-employment, you get 1099. But actually, 1099 expands to much more than just contractor income. There's such as Native American gambling profits, like anything you earn from gambling, that's part of it. Rental income, royalties.
Yeah, there are a lot of different 1099 forms too. So you usually won't see just like it won't usually just say 1099. It'll say like if you're an independent contractor, it'll say like 1099-miscellaneous or MISC. There's also 1099 DIV for investment dividends, or like 1099G for short-term and long-term capital gains. There's a lot of different 1099s, but it's literally just to categorize miscellaneous income or just different kinds of income.
You know, when you get your first W-2, you're just out of college or you're in college and you're like, man, I was told I would get paid this much per hour. But then you get your actual check and it's like less than that, much more less than you thought it would be, right? It's very sad. But then the first tax day, you're very happy. Well, I was very happy because then the IRS was like, oh, actually, we owe you money. And so then every year the IRS had a relationship with me where they would send me a check. And I was pretty stoked about that. But then I switched over to a 1099. And the first year that I switched over to a 1099, the IRS was like, actually, now you give us money. And I was like, wait, no, that's not how our relationship works. You're supposed to give me money, right? Well, and so I had to understand that the basic reason for that is W-2s, my company owner or like my boss has already taken on the taxes and paid the IRS. They might have taken out more than they were supposed to. That's why the IRS has to give me back some money. But on a 1099, I'm getting all of the money that I was supposed to get, but the IRS is keeping track. And now I owe the IRS a bunch of money. Does that seem like a good sort of basic explanation of the difference?
Yeah, it really does. So like on a W-2, reason why you don't get your full salary or your hourly wage is because the government will withhold some taxes. Basically, they'll say, hey, look, we think that you will owe this much money at the end of the year. So we're going to take some now. And that's why sometimes you'll get a refund at the end of the year because they'll be like, hey, you know what? My bad. We took too much. Here's some money back. Right? They're not giving you money. They're just giving you back the money they already took from you. With a 1099, the government doesn't go in there and withhold any taxes themselves, which means that whatever tax bill you you incur for the year based on how much you make, you owe all of that at your tax filing date.
That does make sense. I mean, the first time I thought that the IRS, was giving me money for free and I had won some sort of giveaway, but it makes sense that they already took the money first. But as someone who has previously established in this podcast that my money, I don't take good care of my money. And so whatever money that I don't see doesn't exist to me, right? I'm not counting my receivables, if that makes sense, right? So for me, it really did still feel like I basically treated it like in your scenario that I was making 65,000 a year, and that occasionally the IRS would give me an additional 5,000 for free. And so when I moved to the 1099, that became really difficult for me because I am someone who sort of like looks at my bank account right now to determine whether or not I can buy something right now. Right. And I don't know, like, I forget about the bills that are due in 5 days. Right. I'm just like, oh, I can afford it right now. Right. So I'm glad that I did this podcast because I don't do that as much anymore. But that's not going to help me this year and save me from crazily being taxed by the IRS. And so is there anything I can do besides like now I'm starting to budget better and starting to like keep track of my money better and starting to set aside more money? Are 1099 people just kind of screwed? Do we have to like put a bajillion dollars aside? Why would I ever want to be on a 1099? Sounds like it sucks.
I can speak for this because I've been the W2 side and I also been on the 1099 side. I'm on the 1099 side. I would say being on W2, for any listeners out there that's Asian and you had the privilege to get red envelopes, you're the kid. When you see the red envelope, you don't really get it. Your parents collect it for you and they give you some. And then if you behave well, then you might get more. But how about this entire time when the red envelope money is at your parents? Well, they can take it, invest, do whatever. Being in 1099 is more like being the adult child or being the parent that get to keep the entire amount and do whatever you want. So for example, if you didn't have any tax withholding, Daniel's example, and let's say $15,000 wasn't withheld by the IRS, it's in your own pocket, and you happen to take a time machine back to March of 2020 and you plug that entire $15,000 into a diversified portfolio of GameStop options and Bitcoins. By the way, this is not a financial advice. Then now you'll see that your $15,000 has grown much, much more. And you have to pay some capital gain taxes, but you still get to keep a lot more. You still multiply your $15,000. That's the beauty of being in 1099. But what happens if you're in W2? Well, the IRS is holding on to the money and they're doing whatever they are with it. Then in the end, they give you back $5,000. Well, guess what? Now with $5,000, maybe there's less investment opportunities, right? So opportunities wasted, money being withheld, not being able to be used more efficiently. That's one big thing in my opinion. Also, with 1099, you get to deduct a lot of things, a lot of expenses that as a W-2 wage earner, you're not able to. For example, leasing cars, right? That could be a business expense. As a 1099 receiver, you could use that expense as a deduction. You can take a bunch of other stuff like buying business equipments, right? Laptop is considered business equipment. If you're working from home, there's home office deductions, and those are not available to the W-2 holders. So yeah.
Is there a cap on how many deductions you can have?
No cap, but it has to be reasonable. If it's unreasonable or if it looks suspicious, you'll get a knock on your door by the IRS.
If you do it too much, people have done it before where they've deducted all of their 1099. And if you do it very frequently, yes, you most likely will receive a call or just a special visit from your friend at your local IRS office, and they'll just ask you what's going on. You know, make sure you're okay. Why do you have so many expenses? Where's your profit for your company?
A special visit. I like that. I like that terminology. You know, going back to my story, like I was perfectly happy with my parents holding on to my red bag money, right? Like, I'm like, dude, don't give it to me. I'm going to spend it, right? Like, please keep it, right? And so that was actually my mentality when I first switched over to 1099 was like, oh my gosh, no, take my taxes. I keep spending it without intending to. Dang it.
You had mentioned about how on a 1099 you can write off your car as a business expense, and there are other different types of deductions that you can make. I'm curious as to why on a W-2 I wouldn't be able to make those same deductions, right? I'm still driving a car to and from work. I primarily only drive to work. Is there a specific lens that the government looks through to say, oh, a 1099 person, their car is a business expense, but a W-2 person using their car is not.
With a W-2, you are part of another company. You are just a cog of another company. Whereas a 1099, the IRS views you as your own business. You are self-employed or you're independent. You are your own entity, kind of. The tax code really favors businesses over individuals. People, like regular people, get really shafted by the IRS code. They have to pay they're kind of locked in to the most strict tax rules, I guess you want to say. Like they have the least kinds of options to deduct or the least amounts of tools at their disposal. Whereas businesses, they can kind of manipulate the tax code to their benefit.
By that logic, it makes sense that you can't deduct it because technically your salary is a deduction for the business.
Yeah. So
right?
yeah,
like
exactly. So the
so it's
IRS
already being deducted for the business, and so they don't want you to double deduct on that same amount.
Exactly.
Is it possible to have both a W-2 and a 1099 at the same time, or is it more kind of locked into, I guess, the career field you're in, or maybe something else?
It's absolutely possible to have both. I mean, in your example, you could be working multiple jobs. You can be working a full-time job at a company receiving a W-2, and then you could be working a side job as an independent contractor earning a 1099. Or maybe even in some professions, you'd receive a W-2 as a base salary from a company, and then any sales profit you make or any other kind of miscellaneous profit that you make for the company is received through you, given to you through a 1099. I think it's kind of really beneficial to have both if you can get both at the same time, because there's benefits to having W-2 as well over having a 1099. For example, if you have a W-2, due to the labor laws in America, your employer has to provide you some basic benefits.
Leave, right? Maternity leave, paternity leave. Yeah.
Health insurance, retirement plans like Frank was talking about, like a 401k, stuff like that they have to pay for, or they have to give you a stipend for. They're not required to give that to a 1099 to an independent contractor.
I think to me, right, I like the idea of having the flexibility of being my own business, right? But I like none of the responsibility. So.
I think most of the people who desire security, safety, more than higher income, but with more risk, they tend to choose W-2 because you get the benefits, right? You get the set hours. You follow a routine that was set up for you. 1099 receivers, usually most likely they're business owners. They have to go out and hunt and eat what they hunt. So then if they can't get any business going, then they're stuck. That's more risk.
We have a better understanding of how a W-2 versus a 1099 affects the individual, but I'm curious as to what it's like on the company side. For them, is there a preference between a W-2 versus a 1099? It seems like for people, individuals, it's a personality thing. And then for companies, is it also a company personality thing or maybe something else?
I think it's really also employer's preference, the company's preference. For example, if I'm a company that wants to run very lean, but I need help, I prefer getting contractors, 1099 people, because I don't have to cover their health insurance. I don't have to pay for their self-employment tax, right? And then I can just, the FICA tax, that's what I meant. I don't have to pay for their healthcare costs. I don't have to match 401k, any of that, right? I can just give them a project, pay them, done, that's it. If I need them more, I can hire them back. However, if I run a business where I need employees there all the time and I need a set routine so my business can keep going, and my employees can't say, hey, I have another project that's paying me more, so I'm going to put yours on the side or on the back burner, then I will take the employees and pay them wages and put them under the W-2 format.
Happiness aside, right? I feel like that, I feel attacked. No, I'm just kidding. No. But I value security, right? Because I'm someone who doesn't have the mental capacity to really be managing my finances. Like, I don't necessarily want to be a business owner, right? I want to focus my energies and my time somewhere else. And so for me, W-2 is more appealing to me because I feel like I have never really felt like money was a driving factor in the things that I do in my life. So I'm like, if I'm stable and on like a salary that I feel is able to support my current lifestyle, then great. But I do agree with you that it does require a certain type of personality to want to be on a 1099, right? Not everyone has an option, right? But when you do have an option, like I don't know that one is bad or better. I just think it's different depending on what you prefer, right? What you prioritize, what you value more.
And with that, we'll go ahead and draw this episode to a close. Thank you so much again to our speakers for coming on the show. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.